What is up, everybody? Welcome back to week 5 of Trauma to Triumph, your trauma informed care training made by yours truly. If you're new here, make sure you hit the playlist Trauma to Triumph so you can get caught up on where we are in the weeks prior. Today, we're going to talk about responding to trauma related behavior. The do's and the don'ts in responding to a child's emotional distress. So we're first going to talk about the do's, and on the next slide we'll get into the don'ts. Number 1, stay calm. Maintain a calm voice and body language. This helps the child feel safe. So your responsibility when a child is in distress is not to also be in distress. It's to keep cool and allow the child to express themselves in a healthy way by knowing that you're there to support them through it. Some ways that we can manage our body language is to make sure our hands are not on our hips, our arms are not crossed, because I can see them closed off, or like you're trying to overpower them in an authoritative sense. Instead, hands like this so they know that you're not going to swing on them, because a lot of kids come from abusive homes, and when they're expressing themselves in a way that is distressful, they get punished. They would need to know that you as an adult are not going to punish them, but you're here to listen. Keep your voice and your tone neutral, and try not to allow your emotions about the situation to be shown to the child in that moment. But instead, keep it cool and let them know that there's somebody calm, somebody level-headed here to support them, because many of them don't have that at home. Validate their feelings. Let the child know that their feelings are okay and you understand. For example, I can see that you're feeling really upset. It is okay to feel that way. So letting them know their feelings are valid. We might not agree with their behavior. We might not agree with the action that they're exhibiting in this moment to express said feeling. But how they feel is always valid. And it's up to us to make sure they know that. That's so they know that they have a safe space that they can express. Offer comfort. A reassuring hug and words can help regulate the child's emotional state. So depending on where you are, the hugs can be deemed as inappropriate. If you're a foster parent, obviously always ask for consent to touch before you hug a child, and don't be offended if they don't want to hug you. But a nice hand on the shoulder, everything's gonna be okay. I'm here for you. You can't go wrong with that. Set clear boundaries. Children need structure, consistency. Be consistent with your rules and consequences, but also understand and lead with empathy. So I think what this is reiterating is what I said before, right? We have to have empathy. We have to validate their feelings, but you also have to set boundaries and let them know this behavior is not okay. What can we do to cope with this in another way? And as an adult, it's our job to support them and help them create these healthy coping mechanisms, because a lot of them aren't taught this in their home environments. The don'ts. Don't take it personal. Trauma-related behavior is often a survival mechanism. It has nothing to do with you. I've been in so many foster homes where my isolation or my withdrawal or my inability to connect deeply was offensive. And the foster parent took it as a blow to them. So they either had me removed from the home or they made it challenging for me to live there. They made it extremely uncomfortable, because instead of seeing that I was a child that had been in 12 foster homes, abused in most of them, abused by my parents, that needed help, that needed some patience, that needed some TLC, they looked at it as me being rebellious and me not allowing them to do their job. Instead, I want you to try to remove yourself from the situation and be subjective and understand that this kid is going through something that some of us will never understand, and it's our job to support them through it. Don't overreact. Excessive anger or frustration can reinforce feelings of fear. So most of these kids are already coming from situations where the people are overreacting to their feelings, right? They need you to come from a calm, still, collected place. You overreacting is just going to confirm that they don't have a safe place to express, and that's counterproductive. Don't force communication. If a child is shutting down, give them the space and time to process their emotions. Allow that kid the time and space to understand what's going on within. Sometimes, as adults, when we're arguing with our spouse, a friend, we don't want to talk right now. We need to feel this feeling so we can express it in a more healthy way. You got to teach kids and allow them to do the same. Don't ignore the signs. While some behaviors may seem normal or cute, remember that maybe there's deeper emotional pain. I know oftentimes it's easy just to look the other way or to be like, oh, they're just acting out or that's just a bad kid. And I've said this time and time again, that bad kid narrative. Sometimes those kids that we're perceiving as just bad or the class clown, they're really dealing with some deep rooted trauma and they just need somebody to notice and care enough to notice. De-escalation techniques, deep breathing. So when I was teaching English in Thailand, one of the things I did with my students when I felt they were getting rowdy or they just needed a moment was some deep breath work. All right, hold on, we're gonna pause. Take a breath. Breathe in. Let it out. Shake it out if they have to, but allow them that as a new coping mechanism. Redirect the focus. Gently remind a child's attention to something else to help break the cycle of distress. So sometimes there's nothing you can do in that moment. So maybe you have to say, hey, why don't you go over there and play with so-and-so while I figure this out? Or why don't you read this book? Or, hey, you said you like Roblox. Why don't you go play Roblox? And give that kid something to take their mind off of what's going on while you, the adult, can figure out a safe way to support them through it. Offer control. Give the child some control over the situation. Like, would you like to sit on a chair or on the couch to calm down? So give them some options so they don't feel helpless in that situation. Hey, would you like to go for a walk with me? Or do you need to go for a walk? Or you want to come sit on this chair over here for a second and take some space? Give the kids some options so they feel like they're not being told they got to do something, but they're given a choice in what they do next. Healthy coping strategies for children. Number 1 is journaling and drawing. Creative outlets allow children to express their emotions safely. I still journal, and I'm 31 years old. Journaling is so key. There's something about getting your thoughts and emotions on paper that kind of takes away the power. So let kids be creative. It's so important. Mindfulness. Teach grounding techniques like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method or identifying things in a room. So if you have a kid who struggles with anxiety, I find the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method to be extremely helpful. And what that is taking your finger to your fingertip to the fingertip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And over again. That takes their mind off of whatever they're going on, whatever they have going on, and brings it back to the present moment. And identifying things in a room. So sometimes with my students, I would say, hey, show me something red. And then they find something red in the room. Show me something oval. They find me something oval in the room. This is a good way to bring the child back to this moment that we're in instead of focusing on things that are out of their control. Physical activity. Encourage physical activity like walking, jumping. It can release pent-up emotions. This is one of my favorite. I would have my kids do jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, or just shake it out. We would have a 5-minute dance party. A way to allow yourself to move all that stress and anxiety out the body and just bring yourself back to the now. And that's it for now. Come back next week for week 6. This week we learned a lot, and I'm so grateful that you guys are still showing up on week 5 of Trauma to Triumph. And I think that this training is so impactful, right? We never know when we're going to stumble upon a kid that's going through something, and we are the only people who know how to recognize the signs, because this information isn't taught to teachers. It's not taught to coaches, foster parents. It's not taught in the environments where these kids need it to be. So I'm proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for choosing to be here. And I'll see you next week.